Morning, everyone. I think most of you know me. I'm Claire Milverton and I'm the CEO of One Spatial, and it's great to have so many of you with us this morning. I think if anyone had said to me at last year's conference, next year you'll be presenting this from your home, I would have thought they were, completely mad. But just shows how the world changes, and it's been amazing how companies, everyone has adapted during this period. So One Spatial, our event this year is virtual. We've had lots of plans. We've had plan A, plan B, plan C. I think we're on plan D now. So the plan before the announcement by Boris last week was that we would all be sort of presenting as much as we could live from our Cambridge office. But obviously, with his announcement, we couldn't do that. So as Bob said earlier, a couple of us managed to get to Cambridge. So myself and Jonathan, we got to Cambridge on Tuesday. So what you'll see in a minute is a recording that we did. And I was pleased to do it, actually, because we've just invested in some lovely purple backdrop and a really nice new lectern. So you'll see that in a minute. So I don't want to say too much because I'm going to be stealing my own thunder from my presentation otherwise. But just really wanted to say, great to see you all again. We've got a fantastic lineup of speakers, presentations, all different types of things that we're going to be covering. So, in this lockdown period, and get yourself a nice cup of tea and watch it. I think there's some great things to see. And I just really wanted to say, hopefully, we'll see a lot more of you face to face in the not too distant future. I know we've got really accustomed to the Zoom calls and team calls, but I'm sure you'll agree it'd be really nice to get some face-to-face time soon. So I'm going to stop talking now and hand over to myself last Tuesday. So thank you, Lucy. If you can run VT, that would be great.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Smarter Data, Smarter World, One Spatial's annual conference. And it's great to have so many of you joining us today. For those of you that have been to the One Spatial event before, we would usually do this face-to-face in a London venue. But because of the current COVID crisis, I'm here today at our lovely Cambridge offices. The benefits of doing this event virtually is that it doesn't matter where you are, because we're now a connected world, and we have our global users and interested parties joining us today. The event's going to be over 4 days. We've got a general session this morning, and then we've got sector focus sessions for the next 3 mornings of government, transport and utilities. So what are the aims and themes throughout the conference? Well, our main conference theme aligns with our One Spatial vision, which is to help our customers unlock the value from their location data to create a safer, smarter and more sustainable world. And we'll be sharing the challenges and opportunities within our industry as a community. And we'll also be getting the perspectives of our One Spatial experts. But we'll also be providing a platform for our customers and industry speakers to share their views. There's going to be 2 key other themes running through the event, and they are innovation and trusted data. And never more has there been a time to focus on these 2 things, given the current crisis. I mentioned earlier that we usually do this event at a venue in London. And last year we did this at the British Library. A 5-minute walk from there is this humble water pump on Broadwick Street in Soho, London. And this is where our industry started to take shape. The year is 1854. And then there's another cholera outbreak in London. And the wisdom at the time was that the cholera was caused by bad air or pollution. You may have heard of someone called Jon Snow. I'm not talking about Jon Snow from the Game of Thrones. I'm talking about Jon Snow, a physician. He was the local doctor in Soho at the time of the cholera outbreak. And he talked to the local community. And he established that it wasn't the bad air or pollution that was causing the cholera, but another mechanism, and we now know this to be bacteria. He plotted the victims of the cholera on a simple map, along with the water sources, and the evidence was clear. The cholera was linked to this water pump. He took this piece of simple location data and shared it with the authorities, and they got the pump shut down. This piece of GIS saved lives. John Snow is now cited as one of the founders of epidemiology, and this is also cited as one of the first uses of geospatial location data. So you may be wondering why I'm telling you this story. Many are looking to the pharmaceutical industry to help us contain this COVID-19 virus. But as in 1854 and John Snow, it's actually our industry that's helping to protect, control, and mitigate the impact of the virus. Never has location data been more important. Governments and the private sector are relying on data-driven technologies to help contain the virus. With track and trace apps, tracking individuals to minimise the spread of infection. With big data analytics, bringing together lots of data sources to understand how the virus might be spreading and allocate vital medical resources. And hotspot mappings to provide visuals of the virus, to send out health warnings and details of lockdowns. But we need more than just the data and the technology. We need accurate and trusted data. Because if not, there could be delays in resolving the virus. And also social impacts, mistrust and cynicism. We also need better systems. Interoperability and coordinated information sharing are key. And we've seen this trend in our industry over the last few years. For example, One Spatial were involved in the pilot for the National Underground Asset Register, which is all about bringing together data about the underground assets to prevent accidental strikes. And it's not just protecting from a safety perspective. Having this data will help the economy save £1.2 billion per year. Innovation in times of crisis is key. And someone asked me the other day, who's the most innovative person at One Spatial? I thought about a couple of projects that we've been currently doing. I thought of Adrian, who'd been working on the Northumbrian Water project, which was around measuring and modelling their underground assets. But then I thought of Vindia, who'd been working on machine learning techniques for water consumption hotspots. But then I realised I couldn't give an answer because everyone at One Spatial has a voice of innovation from the grassroots up. And I'm really proud of the One Spatial team and how they've worked together through this difficult COVID crisis. And the innovation hasn't just been in the innovation labs in France and Cambridge, but across the whole organisation. And that's enabled our teams to work innovatively and collaboratively with our customers and partners. Innovation at One Spatial is really important. We need to stay one step ahead. It's not good enough just to be smart. We need to be smarter. And you'll see our innovation that we've been doing with our customers over the next 4 days. But I now want to take you through some of the innovation we've been doing over the last year at our French and Cambridge offices. The One Spatial brand is built around our approach to location and geospatial data quality. It's at the heart of everything we do. A location master data management solution helps to unlock the value of data across the enterprise. It's not just about your location data within your GIS. And our location master data management platform allows you to cleanse, match, synchronize, and analyze your location data. And it's underpinned by our core One Integrate technology. And we've been investing in this during the year with new data types and new APIs. And in Q1 of next year, I'm excited to announce that we'll be releasing our One Integrate 3D module. And in March this year, we released our One Data Gateway product, which is a self-service web-enabled portal, allowing you to validate and process your data and then visualize it in a dashboard. But we've also been investing in our business apps. These can be data agnostic, or they could be based on the Esri platform. They're customizable and out of the box. And I just want to touch on 3 of these apps. First of all, our Ecology Survey app. This allows you to take in ecology survey data and validate it against a set of ecology survey rules. Our Real World 4D app, which enables you to take GIS and BIM data and have a repository for 2D and 3D models for buildings and asset management. And our One Water app, which is based on Esri's new utility network model to help water and wastewater companies have their networks run more efficiently and smartly. Seb Lesware, our CTO, and Bob Chow, our Chief Product Officer, will be talking more about location master data management and these business apps during the course of the next 4 days. And they will also be talking about other innovations such as positional accuracy improvement, machine learning, leakage, and our multi-tenancy cloud platform. So I wanted to spend a few moments reflecting on the COVID pandemic. There's no doubt that it has had a significantly detrimental impact on all of our lives, both from a personal and a business perspective. And most of us have gone into that survival mode of cutting costs and stopping projects. But stopping innovation could be short-sighted in my view. But we now have a great opportunity to reset the way we live our lives. There has been a lot of challenges on people's well-being and mental health during this period, but it has created more focus on this, and companies are now doing lots more around the well-being area, including One Spatial. And we're getting more people working from home. It was great the other day when I was talking to one of my team and they said how nice it was that they were able to take their children to school every day. And there's less travel. I can't believe that I used to spend 3 hours in the car most days. And this has had an impact on reduced emissions. And by doing our Smarter Data, Smarter World virtually, we've actually saved 190 metric tonnes of CO2, which is equivalent to 460,000 car miles driven. And we need to use innovation to drive these positive behaviours forwards. History tells us that companies that invest in innovation during a crisis do better than other companies that don't. This chart by McKinsey showed that the companies that invested in innovation in the 2008 crisis did better than their peers by 10%. But in the longer term, they actually did better than their peers by 30%. And it's amazing how quickly people have adapted during this COVID crisis. And I'd now like to show this second McKinsey chart with you that shows the time required to implement certain changes before the COVID virus and during the COVID virus. Increase to remote working or collaboration. Before the COVID virus, companies were expecting this to take 454 days. The actual time taken was only 10. Increasing use of advanced technology in business decision making. Expected days, 635 days, down to 25 days during this COVID period. Increasing migration of assets to the cloud from 547 days to 23 days. At One Spatial, we've been continuing to invest for the future during this period. And not just in the innovation that I've already been talking about, but we've also been investing in our new website. And I'm thrilled to tell you that we're launching our new website today. And it's not just about our shop window. It's an interactive tool for all of our customers to help them with their data challenges. There's going to be product help and support links for our solutions. And there's going to be some great blogs and customer case studies. And there's also a new innovation and insights area where there's a call for innovation and customers can directly send us their innovative ideas. And there's also going to be lots more video content on our new website. And I'd now like to share with you our innovation video.
Location data and the way we use it is revolutionising the world around us. Innovations are being powered by this location data, and these innovations are limitless and driving changes to the way that we live and work. and whether visibly or invisibly our everyday lives are being transformed by rapid adoption of this technology. Technologies such as automation, machine learning, 3D data and cloud software. Now, organisations have to work with lots of different types of data, both structured and unstructured. Data such as GIS, CAD, BIM data, all sorts of other different formats across different systems. Now, meanwhile, location data is coming in from smartphones, from sensors, from smart cities and Internet of Things devices. And these are generating huge data lakes that are being used to drive decision making.
At One Spatial, we are embracing these drivers and unlocking the value of data. Our vision is to make the world more sustainable, safer and smarter for the future. We believe the answers to achieving these goals are held in data. Our motivation to ensure its careful management is at the heart of everything we do.
We are proud to bring together an empowered team of focused and dedicated professionals through a culture of innovation and continuous learning. Collaboration is something which underpins our approach, whether it's within our teams, with our partners, or our role as a trusted advisor to our valued customers across the globe.
The main principle behind what we do is to embrace automation through rules-based processing to solve data-centric problems. This enables organizations to gain the right level of confidence in the day-to-day dependent.
Driving economic growth, improving compliance, maintaining assets and networks, managing critical infrastructure, and delivering a great service with great customer experience. The demand for our products, solutions and services has never been higher.
As a global leader in providing location master data management software and solutions, our vision is clear: to unlock the value in your data and together create a safer, smarter and more sustainable world. So thank you very much. I hope you have a fantastic conference. In a moment, I'm going to hand over to Jonathan Shears, our UK Managing Director, and he's going to take us through the industry and our market in more detail. But before that, I'd like to share a short video with you as to how we've been working with our global clients over the last year.
When I think of One Spatial, I think of deep geospatial expertise, I think of a passion for data quality, and I think of innovative technical solutions bringing value to customers.
They're really personable, professional, open, honest set of colleagues, friends. Certainly a team that I would recommend to any organisation looking to solve any business data related problems.
What we're aiming for is to have confidence in our data, and having confidence in a way that we can then start joining it up with other data to start to make more meaningful decisions.
Most recently, One Spatial and Ordnance Survey have been working together to focus on our critical mission of bringing the highest quality data to our customers. And that means that the services and systems that we produce need to have data quality rooted at the centre of them. And we know that that's a key part of One Spatial's technologies.
Previously, all the GIS submissions came onto ASITE, so our electronic document management system. They came in as individual submissions, and they just lived by themselves. So if we wanted to look at multiple data sets at the same time, we would have to download them from ASITE, merge them together within our desktop GIS platform, and then upload that into our web GIS platform for the wider team to use, which took a long time, took about 2 weeks. By submitting through the data quality portal straight into our Enterprise Geo database, because we knew we had confidence in the data, we could put it onto the web GIS platform within 24 hours. So that's a massive time saving for us and enable us to really interrogate the data much, much quicker rather than having to go through a manual merging process every month for every contractor.
Together with the team at One Spatial, we developed the new incident application, which allows a seamless flow of information to and from field operations in real time. So therefore, from a back office perspective, at a click of a button, anyone within NGN can see the current status of the incident unfolding out on site.
We're currently working on an implementation with OneSpatial, our Michigan Geographic Framework that is our statewide GIS repository, leveraging the tools from OneSpatial's OneIntegrate and One Data Gateway to update the process for those data contributors, and really the ultimate goal of continuing to provide more frequent updates of the data to be able to publish out to our applications and GIS users across the state.
By having the data quality portal as that gatekeeper to stop that poor quality data being submitted really helps us to have confidence that the data we're getting is correct and will work.
Being able to know that we have 100% of validated data at the point of handover is really key.
The key benefits of MyDart for NGN is that upfront validated data that we're capturing through the LMAP application with the use of OneIntegrate. That will allow us to substantially reduce the back office effort that's currently in place for the validation, and ultimately will allow us to strive for a one-click approval and rejection.
I've always found working with OneSpatial to be a really positive experience.
They're a team who are a joy to work with. There is no us and them. It's very much one united team, all kind of driving in the same direction.
I see OneSpatial as being leaders in helping others to realise the benefit of data for the public good.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Shears. I'm Managing Director, and I'd like to echo Claire's comments before I start in welcoming you to this year's conference. As well as being OneSpatial's first digital conference, it's also my own first conference too. I may be a new face to some of you, but I'm not entirely new to geospatial technologies or its exploitation. But in the short time I have been here, I've learned a few new vocabulary and concepts, mostly around data confidence, data trust, and data belief. I am familiar with UK MOD concepts around the same kind of topics, which they call single version of the truth, i.e. so that everyone on the same side is fighting off the same map, which makes sense if you've got a loaded gun. But that was about version control, ensuring currency and simultaneous concurrency of that for everyone. But at OneSpatial, that concept runs far deeper and is far more sophisticated than that. I noticed this more recently because I used to work with satellite imagery quite a lot. So this is an area where data trust can be taken for granted. I appreciate that's a pretty dangerous or even heretic thing to say, but here's why. This also serves as a good reason why we're all here today, and I'm not sure how many of you know or what a control moment gyro is, but you're about to find out. So these are the whizzy gadgets that control the location and pointing and accuracy of satellites to a very high degree. This means you've got absolute control and accuracy of about plus or minus 4 meters. Whilst that's not brilliant, you do get this accuracy everywhere over the whole image, everywhere around the world, and also for every image. And it's the same in the case of satellites, that's the same every day. You basically get a very homogeneous data accuracy and data file format all at the same time. But of course, the world we live in today is very different. The situation most of us operate in is almost a polar opposite of that. Our data assets are built from multiple data sources with variable provenance, variable age, and huge differences in quality, completeness, and format. It's very heterogeneous. And this is important because we've all heard the old adage, rubbish in, rubbish out, and that's all about data trust. Anything less than not trust the results of your spatial query or your derived analytics technically is fake news. So, you know, as any journalist or data scientist will tell you, you've got to trust your sources. So location master data management is important because geospatial data is increasingly used as a key foundation on which governments and organisations base many decisions. Policy development, provision of government services, that kind of thing. And its use is growing exponentially across all sectors of e-commerce and business intelligence. We'll see that later on, that whilst this is a critical reliance, this extends much further than that because LMDM is not about maps or visualisation, it's about location and how location and space and geography are increasingly powerful enablers, economically, socially, culturally, politically and commercially, of course. So what's the lesson here? Well, your data quality shouldn't be taken for granted, which is why at OneSpatial we don't. So what we develop here at One Spatial are tools to ensure that the data you put into your databases, good or bad, is as optimal as it can be, and also that it stays that way. We improve its quality by applying sophisticated rules, which is basically our rule engine, and able to fix up errors so you can act and make informed decisions and choices about your data, whether that's an urban development plan or picking the right pension held that you want to invest in. It's all underpinned by data in one shape or form or another. And then what we provide back to you are quantifiable metrics on its health and also its fitness for purpose. And that's important because data is now big business. It's part of the basic fabric of running many businesses and even governments. And that's a reflection of the fact that we're now in the middle of a data economy where data is king. So these figures here speak for themselves. There is growth, lots of it, and in the UK particularly. The UK may have politically left Europe, but this European Commission report published in the summer shows that the UK is at the forefront of this growth. Not only is the data economy here and now, but in Europe it's happening here in the UK fastest. I appreciate that these are just statistics, but the trend is quite definitely one way, and that's upwards. And so the need to automate its processing and improve its integrity, which is another reason why we're all here today. So these figures here, you can choose whichever metric you want. The story is always the same, which is one of growth. But the data economy is not just about data. It's a horribly overused term, but it's part of the ecosystem comprising governance, people, culture, and so on. Data doesn't sit in isolation. For it to unlock the true economic potential at the regional or national level, all these other strands are needed too. And what you're seeing here in this diagram is the IGIF developed by the United Nations, which identifies 9 strategic pathways. The technology strand that One Spatial fits in is this piece down the middle. And you'll see some of this later on. And because it's not just about the data, NSDI programs around the world, by definition, have to be multidisciplinary. So what we see here are spatial and non-spatial data sets. You're seeing here the integration with legal frameworks, with open data policies, with education, and with data security. So you have to do the whole thing in the round. So what are the market trends? Well, there's a number of market trends listed here that all drive the demand for data, whether it's data authoring or data management. Okay, so what's driving the demand for all this data for location data management services? So we've got proliferation, exploitation, participation and agglomeration. So these are all terms that I feel are fueling this demand. If we just start with proliferation to begin with, there's a whole range of new technologies that rely to a greater or lesser extent on geospatial technologies, driverless cars, for example, IoT, or all sensors that are placed somewhere, and of course location-based services. And then there's also a whole range of applications that also rely on and use geospatial data and its underlying technologies. I always think, imagine a day without location information. We look at things like social use, Snapchat and Strava. I use Strava, my daughter uses Snapchat. It's all to do with where you are and what you're doing at a particular point in time. Political use, elections and COVID, very topical at the moment. And cultural use as well, satellite navigation we've all got to use with, search engines, online retail, where do you want things delivered and that kind of stuff. They're all based on knowing where you are and where the source data is. And it's commercial use as well. So things like Uber, Airbnb, Delivery, Rightmove, these are all companies that to a greater or lesser extent are using geospatial data in their applications at a fairly deep level. So they need that data to be trusted. So to accelerate the adoption of geospatial data more in society and business in the UK, the Geospatial Commission have just set up a geospatial integrator in Scotland. This is specifically to promote network building, collaboration and growth opportunities of geospatial-based applications and data to build demand for location-based apps. Likewise, we've seen the Geospatial Commission also produce their report, The Power of Place. And this, as a geography student, was a bit of a watershed moment for me because it places geography at the heart of tying multiple data sets together. And this concept is not just restricted to the UK. So here we have something similar in Australia. So this is basically a similar idea called location index that puts geography at the heart of multiple government services. So exploitation, another market trend that we've seen, introduction of what we call spatial knowledge infrastructures, or SKIs, to replace the conventional SDI. I'd urge you to look at this in a little bit more detail, so you've got more time than I have now. But one of the challenges of data-intensive science is to enable knowledge discovery by assisting humans and machines in their ability to discover data and get access to it. But also the integration and analysis of data, but importantly, the associated algorithms and workflows that go with it. And that's important because that's one thing that SDIs don't do so well. They are focused on finding data rather than knowledge. And that, as I say, is achieved through using APIs, and because SDIs find data rather than knowledge. It's one thing that we're beginning to use a lot of at OneSpatial and have started to deploy to some of our clients. So clearly cloud is an essential part of realising a spatial knowledge infrastructure, and we're seeing examples of this crop up, NUR in the UK, GOE3 from the EU, and they're all calling for dynamic harmonisation of geospatial data based on new APIs, such as those put out by the OGC. We're also seeing new principles for access to data. This is the one that's been called out in the UK National Data Strategy, that's looking at data that can be found easily, is accessible, is interoperable and is reusable. Okay, so moving on to the next trend, which is participation. I mentioned that FAIR was mentioned in the National Data Strategy, which is published this year. And this also emphasises the UK position in terms of what it's going to do with its data going forward. One of them being the data foundation, which is the pillar presented here. So this is encouraging better coordination of access to the sharing of data of appropriate quality between organisations. The second pillar is data availability. So this is about data having the most effective impact. It needs to be accessible, mobile and reusable. So without actually making it law, it does kind of hint that sharing should be obligatory, where obligatory sits somewhere between best practice and mandatory. And a good example of this similar kind of data sharing is from an American program called the Multinational Geospatial Co-Production Program. So this is a mapping program whereby the nations here in the red colour are creating digital cartographic feature database for use for friendly forces around the world. And the data is stored into a single common data warehouse that obviously must meet certain minimum data scheme and data quality standards. And for very obvious reasons, it's very rigidly enforced. Then lastly, we're looking at agglomeration. So this has come about through the net effect of fusion of different formats. So it's a confederation of standards that exists inside and outside the geospatial data industry as we probably know it. So we're seeing the merging of different worlds through different industries. So the merging of these with inside and outside topographies, above ground and below ground, spatial and non-spatial, and so on and so forth. So we're inevitably using standards from those different industries, be it construction, environment, ERP or whatever. And it's because projects that cross traditional sectors will hit this issue very quickly. NUR in the UK, UK Power Networks, the National Energy Map recently, are two recent examples of this. So using different standards in a common reference model needs rules to ensure that they can be ingested and maintained to that level to support query and analysis. And this is manifest in smart city projects like digital twins, where the outputs are essentially represented as a mashup of multiple source formats to create a harmonised data model. And all of this requires a very, very sharp focus on data management. So to conclude, data and the applications it drives is a dominant economic growth driver. Geography is becoming the bedrock for integrating that data, and it sits at the very heart of the OneSpatial LNDM concept. But more of that next. But to finish, I'd like to leave you with this little symbolism. Data is our DNA. And like OneSpatial, that DNA was discovered in Cambridge. In the same way that Cambridge Cavendish Lab had its famous double act, so we have our own double act too. Watson and Crick gave us their double helix. And now we'll give you our own alternative Cambridge double act to explain how our DNA works. Seb Lesware, our CTO, Bob Chell, our CPO. But before I do hand over to Bob and Seb, I'd finally just like to thank all of you for being here today. That as we continue to innovate and enrich our technology, that you continue to invest and trust in our technology, and long may those special and fruitful partnerships continue. Over to you, Bob and Seb. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, so we've heard a little bit about the location data industry and its market trends. We've heard from some of our customers about experiences with OneSpatial products, and also the importance of having data management solutions sitting right at the heart of your own businesses, protecting your most valuable asset, which of course is your data. We've also heard from some customer insights around their future perspectives. So now we're going to take a deeper look under the technology hood for a bit more insight into the products themselves and what innovations you can expect coming up next from those. So
data is arguably the most valuable asset that not only NGN have, but any organisation has. Without good data, you can't make sound decisions.
We have a lot of growth happening in our geospatial technologies across state government. So we see where location is playing more of a role, which is great in terms of more information, more data for analytics.
When we do collect data, we don't always collect where it is. And I think that's something that could really help us, whether you're working on a small building site or on a really small scale, or whether you're working on a really large scale, such as a railway to Leeds and Manchester coming in and out of Birmingham. Knowing the location of that data makes a massive difference to being able to interrogate it and do the work.
If we want to become more efficient and still deliver the service that we expect to our customers, is ultimately ensuring that the data that we have available to us as an organisation is as accurate and as validated as it possibly can be.
It needs to be of the highest accuracy and quality so that when they are making assessments against compliance or regulatory reporting, they really need to know that the information and the data that they've got can be fully trusted and relied upon.
We are not data specialists, but we really need good data and the technologies around data management to digitise our industry.
I imagine that we'll use technology and start using things such as digital twins in the future to virtually model our networks so that we're not always relying on people being out on site.
Where I see technology really coming to the fore is enabling us to make better use of that data and information and understand how we can get data right at source, because I think that's really pivotal to digital transformation. I see technology as being the route for us to be even smarter with how we run our business.
For me, the opportunity for innovation really stems from being able to bring together all of those multiple data sources, but provide our customers with services and technologies so that they can filter that data much more quickly and get to the insight and information that will enable them to make decisions faster.
Technology is definitely key to trying to drive better data and use that data properly. And for me, it's an awful lot about automation. So whether that's how we check the data, how we make sure it's right, and then how we make decisions based on that. Rather than that being 10 people working it out with their computers, that becomes piece of AI or a piece of clever software or code that can do that for us, which then frees us up as humans to do much more challenging, creative things.
A big topic here in the past few years to use location and geographic information to help at all levels of government for various assets and maintenance of assets and reporting.
For anyone who's thinking of working with OneSpatial, I would say that you are procuring the services of someone at the top of their industry and leading the way in how data and information can be used to transform your business.
We understand that geospatial data underpins many varied use cases, and we've seen that particularly over recent times with our support of the work that we've done for the COVID-19 crisis. We know that when you are making decisions that impact people's lives, you need to trust and know that the data that's feeding that process is of the absolute quality. And that's why it's important for us to work with organisations like OneSpatial. They have trust and data quality at the heart of everything that they do.